And we're here with another episode of Before You Buy, that show where we give you some straight up gameplay and our first impressions of the latest games releasing. And today we're talking about Dangerous Driving. We're talking about this game because it's made by Three Fields Entertainment. This is a studio headed up by former Criterion Games developers who gave us the amazing Burnout series. So with this studio, they've been working their way up to this game. You know, they started off with the fun kind of tech demo that was Dangerous Golf, and then the fun but limited Danger Zone games focused all around the crashing. And now here in 2019, we have this game, Dangerous Driving, which focuses on the racing and is essentially trying to recreate the Burnout games some of us really love so much. This is considered a spiritual sequel to the original Burnout games, so we're taking this seriously. And it succeeds in a lot of ways. It's pretty rough around the edges, and it does feel like something is missing that's hard to put my finger on, but the fun factor is definitely here. Getting into it, Dangerous Driving is a straightforward affair. You know, there's leaderboards and there's the Dangerous Driving Tour that you select, and it's a playlist of various different styles of races and modes that you work your way towards, trying to earn medals in as many of these different types of races as possible to progress. You start with only the sedan class unlocked, but you grind your way through SUVs, then coupes, supercars, hypercars, and a formula racing class. Each class has various versions of said car for you to unlock and earn and race with. They're all generic, but you can also swap the colors a lot of times, but that's really it. And by that's really it, I mean that's the core of the offerings the game has. In terms of progression and stuff, I really wish it had local multiplayer too. That would be huge, especially since some of its modes try to bank on nostalgia a bit. All the modes involve you being on a car on a track, but every mode has a little twist here and there, some of which are evocative of stuff in individual Burnout games. You get modes centered around hardcore racing, surviving waves where last place is eliminated every lap, and of course, crashing. This game is all about boosting and takedowns, you know, crashing into your opponent to fly him off the course and temporarily take him out of the race. You know, basically, it's all about driving dangerously, drifting around turns, driving towards oncoming traffic, and destroying your opponents all builds up your boost meter, and you want that. Boosting really fast and then like tapping into your opponent just at the right angle to send them careening into a death spiral feels just right. It's tricky to get that feel right, but it works, and the camera pulls away to show you the carnage for just long enough and usually will resituate you right on the right course when it snaps back. The crashing cars gives you more boost to your bar, and in this game, Dangerous Driving, the game is really generous with boost, to the point of where if you're decent, you can basically hold the boost button down the entire race. It's kind of ridiculous, but it totally works because you almost feel like you're skating a really long line of combo in a Tony Hawk game. You like how far you can push it, how far you can combo and take down and drift in one straight long boosted shot, and it can be satisfying. Plus, of course, gotta mention, if you crash, you still have the option of aftertouch, where you are steering your flaming wreck in slow motion to screw over other oncoming racers. Crashes also look damn good with like pieces flying off and smoke, sparks, fire everywhere. It can be pretty spectacular. The actual racing itself is a little less satisfying. It doesn't feel quite right in a few ways. Steering and drifting is loose, but I like that. It's fun and arcadey in the style, but every so often, just when you think you got it figured out, you'll still oversteer, and it's less on you as a player and more on it just not feeling quite right on the joystick. It's hard to put my finger on, but it's overly jumpy, but only on occasion. That's hard to describe, and most people will just say, well, you know, you should get good. But to me, it feels more of like a design thing. Especially when you clip a wall oversteering a bit and then the game literally blinks your car into the straight position in one frame. It's jarring and doesn't look or feel good. It's a nitpick. I just play a lot of racing games. Some people might not even notice it at all. But when it's good and you're cruising and you're drifting, it can be immensely satisfying. It can also get pretty challenging, something that surprised me, but I'm really happy with. Some races require not a single mistake, and that can make things really tense. Way more than you'd think just by looking at the gameplay. This is some white knuckle stuff. Now, some races, on the other hand, really outstay their welcome. Even standard 2-lap races on some courses can feel way too long, especially when you leave the competition in the dust at the start, making for just a lonely stretch of race. Falling like stupidly behind and impossible to catch up, or just being so far ahead that you can just not really worry about anything going on because you're driving alone. This stuff happens in racing games all the time, but it's the pacing and the length of the race here that just kind of accentuates the dullness for me. It can feel that way, especially coupled with just the rest of the presentation. There's not really much going on here. Races are completed with little fanfare. Typically, you'll just get bold text saying, "You won," and your time. Menus and everything are simple and workmanlike, and the game, from the menus to the presentation and style, lack any type of personality. Like, the bones of a great game are here, but the creative itch just wasn't acted upon here. Crossing the finish line can also feel really anticlimactic when you couple in the music, in how there's practically none. But what they did here, because of budget limitations apparently, and instead of just getting crappy licensed tracks you've never heard of, there's full Spotify integration. Link it up with your game and your device, and you can get a playlist going and just scroll through songs while you're driving with a D-pad, and it's awesome. It's really, really good. This was an absolutely excellent choice they made here, and it saves a lot of the presentation factor of the game that I just complained about previously. I know not everyone has Spotify, and that's a bummer, but if you do, you're in for a real treat here, man. My one other complaint is that the courses themselves just feel uninspired. You know, crashes are absolutely fun and the name of the game here, but they're only so exciting when they're just bouncing off of invisible walls and just landing in straight, generic tracks. Jumps and shortcuts, too, are extremely limited, and there's so much potential for more awesome stuff. You know, the visual variety is there, and visually it's pretty gorgeous, but it's a one-trick pony. It probably sounds like I'm being really hard on the game, but it's just because I love this little subgenre so much. I love the Burnout games, and I do really still enjoy playing this. I do, not to emphasize it again, but especially when I have good music on. It makes the game that much more fun. Like, put on your favorite playlist and just go endlessly race, drive, and crash into cars, and hot damn, man, it just works. Once you get the crazier, faster cars, the sense of speed is really awesome, and you can just really go. Pursuit mode especially adds a bit more fun because you're racing as a cop car, and you only have like a few targets with big health bars. Or maybe you're just trying to beat your high score of how many takedowns you can get in a time limit. The game will keep you driving and crashing for a while. Despite seeing everything it offers just after a few minutes of driving, if you like this type of stuff, you'll probably still find yourself playing. Look, it's not a full-price game, so just know that you're going in for simple but fun and satisfying races. And if you're a Burnout fan in general, especially an older one like Before Paradise and stuff, I think you should definitely check it out still. But of course, that's a before you buy. I give you some pros, some cons, and some personal opinion, but now I want to hear yours down in the comments. Dangerous Driving is dropping soon. We got our hands on a review copy. This is a PS4 Pro gameplay footage, but I want to know where you're going to be playing it, what you expect from this game, and generally just like what your favorite Burnout game is. Let's talk about that too. Let's talk about anything dangerous driving and this whole concept of crashing into cars for video game digital fun down in the comments. If you enjoyed this video and maybe learned something, clicking the like button is the best way you can help us out. We would really appreciate that. But if you're new, it's definitely worth subscribing and hitting that notification bell because we put out videos every single day. But, as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.